Serbia deployed the sophisticated tanks and artillery following one of the gravest escalations in years.
Serbia didn't react because Kosovo acquired weapons. That alone wouldn't have moved the needle. Military purchases happen constantly in the region, and Belgrade knows how to absorb them without overcorrecting. What triggered the response was something more destabilizing than hardware. Kosovo shortened the timeline. There was no attempt to frame the announcement as historic. Nothing theatrical followed it. No effort was made to draw attention or shape perception in advance. That absence mattered because the shift happened without giving anyone time to prepare for it. Once Kosovo confirmed it was deploying strike drones, systems shaped by the same logic that has already altered how modern conflicts unfold, the balance changed quietly. Not in a way that showed up on maps, not in a way that required immediate confrontation, but in a way that altered how future crises would behave once they started. This wasn't about overwhelming force or guaranteed outcomes. Kosovo didn't suddenly become dominant, and it didn't need to. What changed was Serbia's ability to manage escalation the way it always had. For years, tension in the Balkans followed a recognizable pattern. Pressure accumulated gradually. Military movement was visible long before it became dangerous. Political signaling created space for interpretation, and interpretation bought time. That rhythm acted as an informal safety mechanism, keeping volatile situations from hardening too quickly. Drones disrupt that structure. They don't fit into the slow choreography that escalation management depends on. They compress the distance between observation and action, reducing the margin where diplomacy can intervene. Moments that once unfolded over days now resolve themselves in minutes, sometimes faster than political control can reassert itself. When that happens, mistakes stop being correctable. Perception begins to outrun intention. Control doesn't vanish instantly, but it weakens in ways that are hard to reverse once they begin. That's what Serbia is responding to. This development doesn't make Kosovo stronger in the conventional sense. It makes Kosovo harder to read, harder to anticipate, and harder to manage using the informal rules that have prevented past crises from spiraling. In the Balkans, uncertainty isn't abstract. It carries memory. And when uncertainty enters the airspace, it doesn't stay confined to military planning. It spreads into politics, media, and public expectation almost immediately. That's why this moment matters, not because something exploded, but because the system that once slowed escalation just lost one of its stabilizers. If Kosovo had announced new armored vehicles, Belgrade would have known exactly how to respond. Analysts would have run the numbers, planners would have updated scenarios, and political messaging would have been calibrated to absorb the shift without raising the temperature. The same would have applied to artillery, air defense, or even troop increases. Those capabilities fit inside an escalation framework Serbia understands well, because they unfold slowly, visibly, and through processes that leave room for diplomacy to function. Strike drones don't operate inside that framework. They bypass the warning mechanisms escalation management depends on. They don't move through visible mobilization patterns, and they don't create long lead times between tension and consequence. Once airborne, they exist in a space where observation and action sit uncomfortably close together. Intent remains unclear until it suddenly matters, and by then the opportunity to shape interpretation has already narrowed. That distinction matters far more in the Balkans than it would elsewhere. This region doesn't destabilize because one side gains more hardware. It destabilizes when meaning outruns verification. History fills gaps faster than facts can. Memory shapes perception before clarification arrives. In that environment, ambiguity doesn't buy time, it consumes it. Traditional military movements still allow space for framing. A deployment can be contextualized. An exercise can be explained. Diplomatic channels can activate before narratives harden. A drone in contested airspace removes much of that buffer. Its presence immediately raises questions that spread through media, political networks, and public discourse faster than official answers can keep up. By the time leaders respond, assumptions are already in circulation. That's why labeling this as just another weapons purchase misses the core issue. The problem isn't firepower, it's the erosion of interpretive control. Capabilities that fit inside known escalation ladders tend to reinforce stability because everyone understands how they are meant to be used. Capabilities that bypass those ladders apply pressure simply by existing, forcing faster judgments and narrower margins. Serbia's concern reflects that reality. The fear isn't that Kosovo plans to act tomorrow. It's that if something goes wrong, a misread signal, an unexpected incident, a moment of confusion, there will be less time to slow events down before positions harden. When decision windows shrink, restraint stops being rewarded. Acting first begins to feel safer than waiting. That's the danger Belgrade sees, not aggression, but compression. And compression is how manageable crises become unmanageable ones. A lot of outside commentary gets stuck on where this technology originated. The comparison to Iranian-style systems makes headlines because it feels provocative, but it distracts from what's actually happening. Kosovo isn't importing an ideology. It isn't aligning itself with Tehran's worldview. It's responding to a lesson that has already reshaped how modern conflict works. That lesson didn't come from Iran. It came from Ukraine. Over the past few years, Ukraine demonstrated something uncomfortable for traditional military thinking. Airspace is no longer reserved for major powers. Control doesn't require dominance. Deterrence no longer depends on overwhelming force. It depends on uncertainty that can't be easily managed away. Kosovo watched how inexpensive, expendable systems forced much larger militaries to behave cautiously. It watched how planners were forced to assume risk even when they held the advantage. And it watched how presence in the air altered behavior on the ground long before any strike took place. That's the model being adopted here. These drones don't need to overpower Serbia to matter. They don't need to range deep into territory or survive intense defenses. Their value comes from existing as a variable that Serbia cannot plan around cleanly. Once that variable enters the picture, every assumption has to be rechecked. Locations that once felt routine now require evaluation. Movements that used to be predictable start carrying added risk. Planning slows not because something has happened, but because something could. That shift alone creates leverage. Serbia has spent decades refining escalation control. Its approach relies on calibrated pressure, visible signaling, and enough time for political leadership to intervene before situations harden. That system only works when a warning exists. Drones undermine that foundation by introducing the possibility that events unfold faster than political control can catch up. Not inevitably, but plausibly. And plausibility is enough to force defensive behavior. What makes this especially difficult to manage is deniability. Traditional forces carry clear attribution. Responsibility is obvious, escalation paths are familiar, and responses can be framed publicly. Drones sit in a gray space where intent is harder to prove and timelines are harder to stretch. That ambiguity doesn't reduce risk, it multiplies it. Kosovo doesn't need to signal hostility to change Serbia's calculations. It only needs to demonstrate that timing is no longer fully controllable. Once that happens, the balance shifts, even if no one fires a shot. This is why Serbia's reaction wasn't about strength comparisons or immediate threat assessments. It was about the erosion of predictability. And predictability, more than raw power, is what has kept Balkan crises from sliding out of control in the past. Serbia's response wasn't delayed or carefully staged. It came quickly, and that speed matters more than the exact language used in any official statement. If this had been symbolic, Belgrade could have absorbed it. If it were a procurement plan still years away from real-world relevance, it would have been filed and monitored quietly. Instead, Serbian planners reacted immediately because they recognized the type of problem this creates, not a shift in battlefield balance, but a loss of control. Serbia's security posture has long been built around managing escalation rather than chasing surprise. Pressure is applied in stages. Signals come before actions. Space is left for negotiation to interrupt momentum before situations harden. That entire approach depends on visibility and time. Strike drones compress both. They don't rely on the kind of buildup that can be tracked politically. They don't require visible force concentration near borders. Once operational, they shrink the warning window that escalation management depends on, making it harder to slow events down before assumptions lock in. That's what triggered the reaction. The concern wasn't that Kosovo was preparing to strike. It was that the margin to interpret intent had narrowed. When that margin disappears, decision makers stop trying to read signals and start preparing for outcomes. History makes this especially sensitive in Serbia. Leaders there understand how quickly Balkan crises accelerate once perception outruns verification. Rumors move faster than confirmations. Media pressure builds before facts settle. Under those conditions, restraint becomes harder to defend at home. There's also a reputational dimension. Serbia has positioned itself as the decisive military actor in its immediate neighborhood, not through constant aggression, but through clarity. The assumption has always been that if tensions rise, Belgrade can respond faster, more visibly, and with greater control than anyone else involved. Drones undermine that clarity. They don't reduce Serbia's ability to respond forcefully. They reduce its ability to know when response becomes unavoidable. That uncertainty forces worst-case planning earlier than planners would prefer, and early worst-case planning tends to harden positions before diplomacy has room to work. That's why the reaction felt instinctive rather than calculated. From Belgrade's perspective, time itself had just been compressed. And when time disappears, caution starts to feel like exposure. This is the point where escalation becomes harder to manage. Not because conflict is desired, but because nobody wants to be late to a decision they can't reverse. In many parts of the world, drones complicate military planning. In the Balkans, they destabilize the political environment itself. That difference matters because this region rarely fractures due to raw military imbalance. It fractures when perception moves faster than control. Geography offers almost no margin for error. Borders sit close to major population centers, communities overlap across political lines, and history is never distant enough to be abstract. Decisions aren't judged on intent alone. They're filtered through memory, especially memories of moments that escalated before anyone meant them to. For decades, stability depended on pacing. Military movement was slow enough to be interpreted. Diplomatic channels had time to activate. External actors could intervene before narratives hardened into fixed positions. Even during tense moments, there was usually space to interrupt momentum. Drones remove that space. Once airspace stops being empty by default, interpretation accelerates. Observation creates suspicion. Suspicion generates pressure. Pressure forces response, often before leaders are confident they understand what they're responding to. The danger isn't the strike, it's the loss of time to think. That loss is especially risky in the Balkans because domestic politics reward decisiveness more than restraint. Hesitation under uncertainty isn't treated as caution, it's treated as weakness. When timelines compress, political survival instincts activate faster than diplomatic ones. This is how drones destabilize without firing a shot. Their presence alone can trigger readiness shifts, movement restrictions, or public statements that narrow options before anyone intends to escalate. Once one side adjusts, the other feels compelled to follow, not out of aggression, but out of fear of falling behind the decision cycle. That's the structural risk. Drones don't inject violence into a stable system. They accelerate uncertainty inside a fragile one. In regions with strong trust frameworks, that uncertainty can be absorbed. In the Balkans, it compounds. This is why Kosovo's move matters beyond its immediate military value. It doesn't just add capability, it speeds up the system. And when speed increases in a region built on thin margins, mistakes stop being recoverable. That isn't theoretical. It's a pattern the Balkans have lived through before, just never this fast. If this shift is going to turn dangerous anywhere, it won't be across borders or on maps. It will be in northern Kosovo. That area has never been volatile because of firepower. It has been volatile because authority is contested in real time. Streets, checkpoints, police presence, protests, everything there exists inside constant interpretation, where meaning forms faster than verification. For years, that environment remained manageable because escalation still moves slowly enough to be shaped. Incidents could be read, reframed, negotiated, and absorbed. Even when tensions spiked, leaders usually had time to intervene before momentum hardened into something irreversible. Drones disrupt that balance by removing the pause between observation and reaction. Once something appears overhead, interpretation arrives immediately. Clarification often arrives too late to matter. Intent becomes secondary to perception, especially in a place where attention is already stretched thin and trust is scarce. That pressure builds before decisions are made. Local actors don't wait for confirmation. Media narratives move faster than official framing. Political figures respond to emotion before de-escalation channels have time to engage. By the time leaders step in, the situation is already charged. This is where escalation stops being deliberate and starts becoming reactive. Serbia doesn't need to believe Kosovo plans to strike. It only needs to believe response time has shortened enough that waiting carries risk. Once that belief takes hold, restraint stops feeling responsible and starts feeling dangerous. That's the trap drones create. They don't force escalation by attacking. They force it by eroding confidence in delay. Uncertainty turns into urgency, urgency into pressure, and pressure into decisions made too early to be clean. In a region where miscalculation has historically mattered more than intent, that shift isn't theoretical, it's structural. Northern Kosovo isn't just a local flashpoint, it's a reference point. Every incident there is watched elsewhere, measured for precedent, and quietly absorbed into future planning. When timelines compress in one place, they tend to compress across the region. That's why this doesn't stay local. Other actors don't see Kosovo's drones as an anomaly. They see a method, a way to compensate for vulnerability without crossing obvious red lines. Once that logic enters a fragile system, it spreads without announcement. Serbia understands this. What triggered alarm wasn't the hardware itself, but the realization that the old rules no longer guarantee control. When escalation becomes harder to slow down, dominance matters less than timing. And timing is exactly what just became uncertain. The most dangerous part of this shift isn't reckless intent. It's the need to plan as if accidents will move faster than diplomacy. That's how systems fail quietly, not because anyone chose conflict, but because the margin for correction vanished without warning. Nothing exploded, nothing crossed a border, nothing officially escalated. And that's precisely why this matters. Because when control erodes invisibly, leaders don't lose it all at once. They lose it decision by decision, reacting instead of shaping, responding instead of pacing. In the Balkans, that pattern has never ended well. Kosovo's drones didn't create that risk. They simply made it impossible to ignore.